Good evening, everyone. Calling the meeting to order this Thursday, February 26, 2026. I'd like to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Peter's not here. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So tonight we have a full complement of the board. Kevin O'Neill, Denise Luciano, Bob Kimball, Roger Marsan, and myself, along with Town Manager Mark Gould and Christy Enegren, a new Select Board Liaison. Okay. So with that, we have appointments right out of the gate. Special Police Officer resignation, Bobby Gorham. Any input, Mr. Town Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We received a resignation letter, and we'd like to thank Special Officer Gorham for his service.
Okay. We don't have to take a vote. So, well, I'd like to thank Bobby. I know him personally. He's been great in his capacity for the town. So good luck in his future endeavors, and thanks again, Bobby. So next we have Traffic Safety Committee resignation, Mr. George Hast.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, we received a letter from Mr. George Hast, who has resigned from the Traffic Safety Committee.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Chair?
Yep.
I'd like to thank George for all of his input on the Traffic Safety Committee and wish him well as well in the future endeavors.
Okay.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would add to that that he was one of the first, he was an alternate member, became a permanent member, but he was kind of when you did the black and white routine, he was, it was helpful to bounce things off him and make things make a little bit more sense. We also will be expecting to hear a resignation from Ralph Stefanelli also. I believe he's going to step down, so.
Okay. Noted. Thank you, sir. Okay, we have is this an appointment of Council on Aging alternate member Anna O'Brien?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are two letters here, actually three. One's from the Chair of the Council on Aging, Ruth Schneider, who has expressed full support for both of these nominations, Anna O'Brien and Fran Ward. So we're happy to recommend them to the board for appointment.
Okay. Any questions? Comments? No?
Mr. Chairman?
Motions?
I make a motion that we appoint Anna O'Brien to the Council on Aging as an alternate member.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Chairman, I make a motion we appoint Fran Ward to the Council on Aging as an alternate member.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you. Minutes. February 12th, February 22nd, and December 23rd, exec. We have any questions, comments? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of February 12th, 2026 as written.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Abstain, sorry, Chair.
Okay. You went here.
I wasn't here, yeah.
One abstention. Denise Luciano.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, I make a motion we approve the minutes of February 22nd,
Second.
2026 as written.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes, executive session minutes of December 23rd, 2025.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
can I ask that the office submit a formal response to Mr. Gary Coolidge? We can include the aspect of the discussion that's in the minutes. He was the one that wrote the letter asking about 3 or 4 different items around Reservoir and what was the other street that he lives
Smith.
on?
He's on Smith
yeah.
Street, I believe, right?
It may be in the response point out the video link from that meeting, and maybe put the timestamp in there as well, just as a courtesy to give him the response that we all provided.
Okay.
And then one other thing, if I may, the executive session minutes, when we post those on the website, if we can clearly state, executive session minutes from December 23rd, so that people can quickly go to those executive minutes instead of trying to fish through general minutes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Christie, you good with that?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We have next licenses and permits. Bog Iron Brewing on premises. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you. This is an applicant. He's a current holder of a malt-only license, and this application is for a all-alcohol. We do have an all-alcohol license available, so it's a standard approval requested of the board. All the departments have signed off, and we don't have any issue with this license.
Okay. And this will be, we have, am I correct? We have 2 licenses available right now?
That's our understanding. Yes, 2.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right. And all the department heads are signed off, checks all the boxes?
Yes.
All of that. Perfect. Thank you. Anybody have any questions or concerns or comments?
Just so I'm clear, Mr. Chairman, they have a farmer brewer license now. They're applying for a standard all alcohol license. That's correct? Okay, thank you.
Yep. So I'd just like to speak to, I think all of us know Brian. He's runs a great business. Everybody loves it. That's to my understanding. So if anybody would be interested in making a motion, please.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we grant the on-premises all alcohol license to Bog Iron Brewing.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, roll call, please.
Roll call.
The roll call liquor license. Yep. Okay. Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Luciano,
Yes.
Mr. Kimball, Mr. Marsan,
Yes?
and I am a yes as well. Thank you, sir. Okay. Next, we have announcements. Sip and stroll, Mr. Clerk.
Get my voice in order here. So we have a sip and stroll summer, a kickoff to summer. I'm sure we all can't wait for this. The Town of Norton will be hosting an upcoming sip and stroll kickoff to summer event at the Norton Town Hall front parking lot on Saturday, May 16, 2026 from 3 to 6 p.m. This event, founded and organized by Lorna Brunel, has been successfully held in several Massachusetts communities. Sip and stroll events have grown into well-attended seasonal marketplaces featuring local artisans, small businesses, food trucks, beer and wine vendors. These events are designed to support small businesses, encourage community engagement, and promote local economic activity in a welcoming, family-friendly setting. As we prepare to host this event in Norton staff will be working with the organizer to coordinate logistics and ensure the event is safe, well-managed, and successful. Key coordination areas include public safety, public details, police details, traffic management, and pedestrian safety planning. Our police presence will be provided at the organizer's expense as required. Transportation and parking evaluation of parking options and potential transportation coordination where feasible, and permitting and administration, the coordination of required permits, insurance documentation, and vendor compliance. Ms. Brunel has begun promoting the event and is reaching out to local businesses. Vendors interested in participating may call her directly at BurtwoodSchool@AOL.com. The event represents a positive opportunity to showcase Norton and support our local business community. We look forward to working collaboratively to make sure it's a successful kickoff to the summer season. Next, we want to remind everyone that the United States of America is celebrating its 250th anniversary, kicking off this year on Memorial Day. There will be, we're asking people to be part of Norton's Community Parade. BFW is seeking community groups, local businesses, high school bands, pipe bands, civic groups, anyone who wants to celebrate America. To participate or for more information, contact Gary Cameron, the BFW member at 508-265-0442. Join us as we honor the past, celebrate the present, and march into America's future together. There will be a Ninja Open House held on Sunday, February 22nd. Registration is now available. It's a new program done in conjunction with the Parks and Rec sponsors. The CPR class will be held in March. There's a date to be determined. They had to change the original date due to a space conflict. Spring egg hunt will be held on Saturday, March 28th at Wheaton College Chapel Lawn, starting at 2 p.m. with a sensory hunt, a smaller event for kids who need extra time, space, or help. And the hunt schedule is 2 and 3-year-olds at 2:30, 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds at 2:45, and 7 and 8-year-olds at 3 p.m. The over 25-30 basketball pickup league spring session, the women's over 25 and men's over 30 games start the week of March 30th. Our registrations will be open until March 2nd. I should note that all these announcements are coming from the Park and Recreation Department. Sports Gear Swap will be held on Saturday, April 4th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Crane Room of Town Hall. And part of the Be Good, Do Good program. In March, people can turn in their used sports equipment, and then on April 4th, people can come in and get the new equipment that they need. The Town Cleanup Day, you want to mark your calendars, will be this year will be on Saturday, April 11th from 9 to 2. You have to check in here at the Town Hall for cleanup around town. Town-wide yard sale will be held on Saturday, May 9th. At your location, and the hours for that will be 8 to 3 p.m. I believe this is probably the second year we've done that one. There will be golf lessons expanding your offerings for ladies and seniors as well as the junior players this year. There'll be 3 sessions available through May, June, July, and August. Registration will be open March 20th for these classes. In the Everett Levitt Park/pool, park rental applications are being accepted from past renters starting February 2nd. New renters applications will begin to be accepted on February 23rd. Rental rate is the same as last year at $165 per hour with a 3-hour minimum rental. And the pool will be open to the general public come mid-June. I think that's all I have.
That's it?
That's it. Best I could do.
I think I just confirmed with the town manager, these are all listed on the town website, on the Park and Rec page, and I believe they're scrolling on the message board out front of Town Hall as well. So, thank you. And on to new business, FY25 audit. Come on down. Little different.
Yeah, it's a lot different. For those who don't know me, I'm Tom Scanlon Jr. I'm the managing partner at Scanlon Associates. I see a couple new faces up there. So we're talking about the fiscal year 25 audit. Kind of want to go through what we do, what the audit is. It's a risk-based audit. Our objective is to opine on your financial statements. We're defining risk in your financial statements, and we're designing our procedures from there. It's not a forensic audit. I know it's a popular term out there right now, but our main objective is to opine on financial statements. The audit went very well. We gave no adjustments to the general ledger. We had no disagreements with management. There's no areas of concern, which is always good to hear. We gave a clean opinion on the financial statements, which if you're going to be in the bond world, issuing bonds, and the grant world, first thing they're going to look at, and they're going to give you a little pat in the back as far as that goes. So I was going to walk through your financial statements with you, kind of a high overview, not getting into the weeds on the items.
That'd be great.
Yeah, yeah. So if you turn to page 17 and 18.
I like it already.
Yeah, there you go. Skip all that.
So we didn't actually print out all 80 pages.
That's good.
We can bring it up on the board if that's.
Yeah,
Mine ends at 15, so that's perfect.
that's good.
Okay, let me,
I wasn't going to get past all those other pages. Yeah, there you go.
yeah, pull it up. Just a second.
So, Mr. Chairman, I've known Tom Scanlon for many, many years, and I think we should recognize the fact that every time Tom came to one of our meetings, it always snowed out.
And always, yes,
So we can
correct.
thank you for the snow we have out front. Is that correct?
There's a couple of times I had to cancel.
Feel
Hey.
free to take it home with you.
That first time we didn't get, well, we only got like 6 inches of snow on Monday. You guys got like 30.
What? Where were you?
Deerfield, Mass?
Oh,
On the western
west,
part?
yeah.
Yeah, usually. It was actually kind of nice shoveling.
Oh, thanks.
Don't mention it. So on page 18, as we look, governments are very unique. They actually have 2 sets of financial statements, which is when you compare it to like a business and to the private world, they only have one. And you can see on page 18, this is your statement of net position. And what it is, it's on the full accrual basis of accounting. You'll see fixed assets on there, which includes depreciation, which is not part of your budget. This gives you a more entity-wide look. All your liabilities are sitting here. So when you look at the governmental activities, you'll see unrestricted net position. You'll see a negative $85 million. Usually you don't want to see your unrestricted with the negative brackets around it. The 2 big drivers of that in your liabilities when you look under non-current are your OPEB liability and your pension liability. Again, your pension liability, it's worked into your budget. You're paying it as you go, and I think it's 2034, I believe, that will be fully funded. Then your other liability is OPEB, which I know we've always talked about in the past. And that liability, as it sits on your books, is at $76 million. I don't expect you to fund that overnight. But OPEB should be in your conversations as you set future budgets. And what that is, it's your promise to your employees that when they retire, you're going to pay X amount of their health insurance. And that's being recognized now. You did adopt an OPEB trust, which you have 1.5 million at June 30th. I would encourage to keep funding that, but I wouldn't kill budgets in funding it. Again, that's just my own personal opinion. I wouldn't take free cash and throw it into, because free cash is kind of an unrestricted reserve. When you put it into OPEB, it's more restricted. So you can only use it for retirees' health insurance. I think you're contributing like $350 a year. Does that sound correct?
300?
330 last year.
Yeah.
Up from a little less.
Yeah. So again, I think OPEB is a long-term approach as you look. Somewhere in there lies the truth. I don't know if your liability is exactly 76 million, but it's not zero either. So that's what I would say about these financial statements. When you look at it, those are the 2 big drivers why you're in the negative on your entity-wide statements. As we look on page 20, these are your more realistic financial statements. When you look, it's the current approach. As we look, you can relate to it more. And if you see under general fund unassigned, you'll see 10.7 million. What that is that those are your reserves. Those are your free cash and stabilization. As it sits on benchmarks, when you look at your budget's approximately about $78 million. You're running about 12% of your reserves onto that, which a proper benchmark is 10 to 15 is good. So as we look at these financial statements, how we design our risk, you can see there's various columns. There's the general fund, then you got your special revenue and capital projects funds. So as we look at your 2 biggest assets are your cash and your receivables. We're spending a lot of time in the collector's office and in the Treasury's office. And we're looking at your bank statement level. Again, being your number 1 asset, your largest asset. everything kind of flows through cash, so you want to make sure there's controls in there and you're reconciling them. That's one of the tests we do, really focusing at the bank statement level. And then are the revenues going to the right fund? That's the other risk in your financial statements. For instance, if the state gives you a grant for highways, you don't want to see that grant sitting in the general fund becoming part of your free cash. You want to see it sitting in a special revenue fund, and also the expenses go in there too. So again, that's where we're designing our test. What we do is as we test revenue, we do a lot of analytics. When we look, like for instance, like school grants, say like Title I. If the revenue's coming in, we're tying out the revenue to the state that it came in and went to the proper. So the state's telling us they gave you 1.1 million for Title I, and we trace all the revenue in, and the grant's clearing out because it's more on a reimbursable basis. That's what we're doing for analytical on that. So we're looking for grants have large surpluses or deficits. Deficits are bad in the auditing world. That means something's being charged there, and the revenue's not coming in. You don't have a lot of that in the financial statements, and you have controls in place where you're constantly monitoring that. That's just as a general note, your financial reporting is very sound. And one aspect that's kind of stands out is you're getting your free cash certified in a timely manner, by September 30th. That's how you know your functioning's working on accounting wise, and you don't have a lot of deficits. You're not sitting here where you have like 2.2 million worth of deficits they're reducing your free cash by. So I always encourage select board members when they're looking at their free cash is look to see what your reductions are on there. What's the state taking away from you? Because that can be a big driver of something that's going on. And you don't have that here, but I would always encourage the select board to look at that. Other things I just want to kind of point out on page 24, this is your budget versus actual. I always think it's important for management to know where the free cash is coming from. And as we look at it, comparing to your budget, you generated within your budget this year about 4.3 million of free cash. And of that, about 700,000 came from unspent appropriations, and 3.6 came from your revenues. So you're very conservative in your revenue budgeting, which is good. From my perspective, it's good. Your two largest, which get free cash, is excise taxes, which is, again, you're very conservative because it's based on market value, and that's where you want to be. So as you look at your free cash, as you're generating 4.3 in the budget, and I tell all my towns this, is be very cognizant of how you use free cash going forward. If you're generating 4 million, you don't want to use above that. So if you don't want to use 6 million to set your budgets and do things, because eventually, if you have that $2 million delta, the course of 4 years, your free cash is going to be gone. But I will say, I think these next couple of years are going to be tough budget seasons. So just keep that back of your minds on use of free cash. And then that's kind of all I have. I don't know if you have any questions for me, like on what we do. If you have any specific questions?
So you're saying James does pretty good?
He does all right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Yeah.
Anybody on the board have a
I'll say through your
question?
chair. The unspent funds that attributed to some of the free cash that we have,
Yep.
where did that generate from primarily?
My wife stepped on my glasses this weekend. It was kind of. It was a mixture across all the categories, like general government, turned back 200,000. Employee benefits and insurance turned back 184,000. So it's kind of broad across all the categories.
There was no big pocket. It was
No.
okay.
So the free cash.
Yep.
Was it roughly 80% is due to conservative estimates on revenue? Is that what the ratio kind of was? And roughly, I was trying to do math in my head, and then the balance was unspent on the previous year.
Yeah, because your free cash was certified 4.6 million. It was certified at, and rough 3.6 came off your revenues.
Okay, so roughly 80%.
Yeah.
Any guess on how we're kind of lowballing, for lack of a better term, being conservative on the revenues? Is it across the board, or is it state aid or local receipts, or?
Excise taxes.
Okay.
Motor vehicle excise.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Yep.
And is that consistent from what you see year after year?
That's been consistent the last couple years. You usually have larger turnbacks on the appropriation side. That's usually been like 1.4, 1.2, correct? So this has been the lowest it's been in quite a few years.
Excise tax is interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Tom, without getting political, you mentioned the next couple of years could be soft, could be something we need to keep an eye on. Just curious about what your thoughts are on that, because I know you're probably more entwined with what's happening in all different communities around Massachusetts.
Yep.
I'm just curious about your words of caution, why you feel that's something we need to keep in mind.
I think costs are on the rise for one. Two, I don't think the revenue sustainability is going to be there. Again, like I always, if your revenue is off a market value, I'm like motor vehicle excise, that's off a purchase of new cars. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be there over the next coming years. And state aid, from what I've been hearing, I don't know if it's going to be the increases kind of expecting. And that your number one asset is your ability to tax. I mean, that's what it is for a government. And you're taxing up to your levy. I think with the rising costs and the revenue streams drying up, I think it's going to be very tough on budgets. And coming out of COVID, there was a lot of grant money that was out there. That has to be backfilled somehow.
Understatement of the year.
And you're right about excise taxes. I'm sure people are looking at, the cost of vehicles today, and as it continue to go up, that's something that it's one of those that's out there, but we never know exactly what the numbers are going to be until we find out what we have out there for new vehicles. So it's always been a major factor in which way the wind blows as far as if the economy's doing well and people are buying new cars, then we're going to do better.
Yeah.
And if it goes the other way, then obviously people are going to hang on to what they have.
Yeah, that's why I would say be conservative on those type of revenues, like your hotel, motel tax, those type of things, which I would always encourage.
Thank you.
Okay.
This might be a question for James. Is there a way to more accurately estimate the excise tax revenue? For example, do we have any access to any databases on new car purchases in the town or companies that are buying new vehicles? And I know from experience that when you have a 10-year-old car and you buy a new car, your excess taxes are like 10 times what they were before. So it's the new vehicles that are really driving that incremental revenue. Do we have any visibility to that?
I'm not aware of a software that's out. There may be one, but I can tell you that we can use past collections in order to predict, within a certain percent what the future will generate. But that is the one area we use to generate free cash. So if we increase our budget estimates, free cash will go down by that same amount. So say we decide that we want to increase our local receipts by $1.5 million next year, free cash is going to be $1.5 million less at the end of the year. The problem is that we use free cash, not the problem, but we use free cash to fund our reserves, OPEB, or capital program, and also to supplement the budgets. And if free cash is not there, then we're going to have to make cuts. So we are generating the free cash, but we are using it up too. It's not like we're generating free cash and it's sitting there.
Yes.
Otherwise, we would have like $100 million over the last 20 years,
Yes, I understood. I understand that. That makes sense.
But I can try to find out an answer on whether or not we can get a hold of information on new vehicle purchases and to see if there is
That would be helpful. I know a couple of years back, I think we ended the year with like $6 million in free cash, and we had an override that year. It was kind of a contentious discussion item, and
Yeah,
I was
th-
just curious to prevent that from happening again. Like new home sales is public information, right? You can open up the paper every week and see how many homes were sold and what the prices were. Like new car sales, I don't know if there was a public database that would provide that to you, that where you could utilize it and estimate the excise tax for that year based on just that data, you know?
Yeah, the $6 million free cash was higher than usual, but that was the 1 year that we had the auction for the tax title properties, foreclosures, and there was litigation going on whether or not those funds could be considered free cash or if they had to be set aside. So that was about $1 million of that. Otherwise, free cash would have been closer to $5 million, which is within the range we've been getting the last 4 or 5 years.
Thank you, James.
Mr. Chairman, one thing we found out a few years ago, and when you're talking about excise taxes, is the fact that leased property, leased vehicles. When you see the Amazon truck and the FedEx and all these trucks driving around town, and they've got New Jersey plates on them, and New York plates or whatever plates, I think people have to understand we're not getting anything from those. So that was something I brought up to our state reps a few years ago. Like, if leased vehicles are being housed in a community or city, town, whatever, that host community should be trying to get something from that. Well, we're not.
Yeah.
So these major corporations are going out and they're renting all these brand new vehicles, tying up our streets, and we're not getting anything for it. So it's probably something I'll bring up again with our state reps, but I think it's should be recognized that even though there's a lot of new cars in town, it doesn't necessarily mean we're getting excise taxes for those vehicles.
Correct.
Okay. Well, Tom, any other questions from anybody? No? Okay. Tom?
Yeah, and if you have any other questions throughout the year, don't hesitate to reach out. Yeah. And then
Wonderful.
hopefully the sip and stroll will be here soon because, what's that, May?
You're going to come from Deerfield?
No. I might though, I might.
Well, I hope so. Otherwise, you got to fill your pockets with some snow on the way out. Pick it back up there.
Yeah, have a good one.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
All right. New business. Next item. Rescind local state of emergency declared on February 22nd, 2026 due to winter storm conditions. Mr. Town Manager, it's my understanding that we're going to hold off on that.
Yes, Mr. Chair, the DPW director has advised us that cleanup operations are ongoing, so that'd be wise.
Okay. Noted. Thank you, sir. We will hold off till whenever Justin, the DPW director, deems appropriate. Thank you, sir. And, yes, sir.
It should be noted that the select board did, on Sunday evening, we did declare a state of emergency for the town. And that provides us with the opportunity to maybe get some additional funding from federal or state agencies to help with the cleanup. So it's very important that we did that, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we hold off as long as we have to in order to get a total dollar reimbursement as much as we possibly can get. I can't imagine what our snow account is right now. It's got to be in the around $300,000 or more. But I do have a question, and just a thought, and something I saw today, Mr. Town Manager. All the equipment we have in town is being utilized during these snow events based on the manpower we have available. It doesn't mean that every piece of equipment is being used because we don't have, last year I believe we cut out 2 positions in the DPW as an example. So, we don't have as many, we may have more equipment than we do manpower. One question I had, and I just thought of it on the way over tonight, thinking back to some of the people that I've worked with over the years here in Norton, is there a way that we can hire people to come in and run this equipment, find out from the insurance company if there's a way we can do that legally? Because I can think of a whole bunch of retired guys like myself that have all the certifications and all the experience handling all this machinery. I can't, but they can. And I'm wondering if we could, as an ace up our sleeve, if we could check with our insurance company and find out if there's a way we could bring these guys back as temps, these people back as temporary employees to help in an emergency like this. You know, maybe they're doing nothing more than plowing the sidewalks. I don't know. But I just thought of that on the way over tonight is something we probably should look into.
If I had to guess, the unions might have something to say about that.
They very well might. They might make an exception for a particular select board member, though. If
Yeah.
come on.
I'm not volunteering. What I'm thinking of is the guys that I've worked with over the years, that, including some people that ran the DPW, you know, that have the experience, and whether or not we could tap into that resource only in the case of an emergency, where we could utilize them and use every piece of equipment we have that's able to be utilized. That's all.
We can definitely check with them. I'm fairly certain we're using pretty much every piece. There might be a couple really old pieces that we're not using, but sure, all hands on deck in emergencies.
Well, and that's, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I think my previous statement, I think that might, you know, would need to be figured out. The insurance would, I
Negotiated.
think, would be the least
But I
the
think,
least of it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
maybe during a declared state of emergency might be something that could be looked into.
It's worth an ask.
I mean, there were commercial companies that offered to help out, but we were doing the best we could, and the guys and girls stayed over 24 hours until they hit the point of exhaustion, took a little break, and kept going again. And I can't say enough good things about the people that we have. So we didn't complicate it by bringing in more people to manage and more trucks to. I mean, all the plow trucks were getting stuck. So even having more plow trucks on the road wouldn't have necessarily helped in that moment. But the direction was great. The crews were great. They're still working on the cleanup, but all good things.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not challenging what the condition of the roads are or what happened out there. I think under an emergency, declaration of emergency, we should utilize everything. Now, one example of that would be the sidewalks. That's probably what concerned me most today. Because I was over at the Historical Society cleaning that up, and the Wheaton College kids walking down Main Street in the street, because we just didn't have, our guys were straight out doing everything they could. If we could have got someone in there just to run the snow plow, the plows for the sidewalks, it would put less people in danger. That's all. So I think during an extreme emergency like we're having, it would be nice if we utilized everything at once.
Understood. Those sidewalk machines take a lot of training to do it right.
If
I can think of a couple retired guys.
The
that know how to do
priority
it.
were the streets and the heat of it.
Yeah.
I think, if I may, the appropriate workaround with how Massachusetts operates is how a neighboring community to us handles these types of events. They have an emergency contract, standing contract, with a larger contractor to be able to pull that lever when that instance happens, because they just don't have the horsepower, the equipment, or the manpower. And having that emergency contract with that large contractor definitely handles those situations like that. And it's all prearranged, pre-negotiated per piece of equipment, manpower, man hours.
And it's not cheap.
It's not cheap, but in a state of emergency where we're able to apply for federal funds for reimbursement, I think that neighboring community does that. And I know you're familiar with it, so that might be something worthwhile to have a discussion with a new DPW director about that as well. If you guys deem that necessary, I think that would be the best workaround with the laws and unions and everything else, how the state is now. Just a recommendation.
Right, because there might be more of that white stuff on the horizon.
Yeah. That's not a matter of if, it's when the next one is. That's it. So, all right, thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Old business. Oh boy, another fun. Town meeting warrant articles.
So thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm currently working with the department heads to refine these. There's 27 currently, and once we whittle it down, there might be a few that are removed before town meeting or withdrawn. There's the standard articles. I mean, I can go one by one or answer any special questions you have. Essentially, it's the budget articles. The main event is the school roof that's teed up for number 1, and that's contingent on it passing the April 11th ballot. Then you have the Chapter 90, bylaw amendments. There's a bunch of public works projects that we're looking to refine and potentially put on there. The West Main Street sewer expansion, a big priority of ours. If we can get sewer ran down that stretch, that'll be a huge benefit to the community. We're looking at strengthening the Mansfield interconnection so we can potentially trade water during emergencies. We can access Mansfield's water more cleanly. There's the veterans abatement. We already voted that one to town meeting. There's an abatement for continued environmental cleanup. That's number 20. That would allow us to negotiate with owners of brownfields properties, polluted properties, for past due taxes. I know there is a big polluted property, and we're hopeful that the owner can clean up the pollution and put it to good use, put it back on the tax rolls. There's the removal. I mean, I'm excited about this one too. Number 23, the removal of the mandatory sewer tie-in. So there's a bylaw that says if we put a sewer line in front of your house, you have to tie in within a specified number of years. And I've heard nothing but good feedback on that one, that we could encourage more growth and development if we're not requiring people to do that. There's the center of town, the reconstruction of intersection 140 and 123. I understand we'll be asking the select board shortly to schedule a public hearing on that to sort of test what people think about that and potentially put one of those forward for consideration at town meeting. Is there anything specific? Any other ones you don't know what it means yet?
I mean, none of these are ready to be voted on tonight, it sounds like, correct?
Right.
Okay.
So when's the, do we have a drop dead deadline date that these need to be voted on before, did FinCom want us to vote on these before they take them up?
It's really your preference. I'd say,
I'd like to, as many as possible.
I mean, if you wanted, we can tee up, say, number 20 straightforward. The rest of them, well, we need to refine these and give you more language, I think.
That's fine.
I mean, if there's anything you're interested in hearing about, if you want to bring to next meeting.
All of it.
We can,
No, that's, I know you're waiting on information. And
I mean, like,
whatnot,
for
but-
example, the last one, number 27, our DPW director suggested a bylaw for sidewalk maintenance. So he's going to get a draft bylaw, and if that's something we're interested in, we could put that forward to town meeting.
So maybe if we can have that on the agenda for next meeting, he can present it, all of his.
He's got a lot of them, so
Yeah.
as long as he can ballpark it, but sure. Because he's got the 16, 17, 18, 27,
Yeah.
25, 24, yes.
So I guess, any information, even if it's not a full packet, any information that can come to the board to digest, on our own, and then the subsequent presentation by the DPW director, as needed through the process over the next near term, and anybody else that's putting these forth. The more information, the sooner the better. I'd like to see it I think the board would be amenable to that.
Yeah, I was going to say through you, Chair. I mean, the financial ones, obviously, I think it makes sense to wait till FinCom reviews them first, but there's several of them in here that maybe are less financially tied, that maybe those could come to us sooner rather than later to review.
We can, we can take them up as needed.
Whatever ones are ready, whatever ones are ready with
whatever
information, yeah.
ones are ready at the time, sure.
Yeah, I'd say within the next 2 meetings. I understand we have a meeting scheduled in 2 weeks from today, and then after that in 3 weeks. So, and then we're in April, so.
Yeah. It's gonna come fast, that's why I'd like to, as quickly as you can, we're right at the starting gate, so,
FinCom meetings are starting Monday.
good. Okay?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, along those lines, if there were a couple articles, maybe one of them was the zoning bylaw changes, where we decided to just meet with the FinCom it might have also been the planning board. We had a joint meeting, if you remember. I don't know if it was the October, or maybe I watched from the audience of the Maytown meeting, but the FinCom, it was kind of like chicken or the egg. The FinCom wanted to know what our position was on a couple.
Yeah.
And they wanted to wait and see how we voted, and we also them. So, maybe a practice in the future would be,
Joint.
like Denise said, have them go through the simple ones, the finance ones, the standard typical articles like the enterprise budgets and the transfers and that kind of thing, and then have them identify any articles where they would rather hear our position and our feedback, and maybe have a joint meeting on just those articles. So out of 27, maybe 20 of them are easy, right? They're normal. That's just a matter of transferring funds but maybe the other ones would like to hear what our position is and have a joint meeting around just them. I don't want to have hours and hours of joint meetings with us and the FinCom. That's why I'm saying have them go through the simple ones first, and then maybe have a joint meeting on the ones that are more complex and that they really want to hear our viewpoint before they vote.
That's actually a great suggestion. Some of the conversations that I've heard in prior FinCom meetings, I think would lend helpful for us to be part of and hear.
I think some of them would be applicable, that we could have maybe a joint meeting.
Yeah.
The ones that we're confident in that are, black and white, I just don't see, in a few years past, we get to the 11th hour and we have to make a decision with a gun to our head, and I don't want to get to that point. I like making decisions a lot, being ahead of the game instead of behind the 8 ball. I am not a big fan of waiting for anybody, for anything. I'd rather take action on the stuff that we know, as much information that we can be briefed, even if it's a little bit at a time. It's much easier to stay on top of it than all at once in the 11th hour or 10th hour. That's all I'm saying, asking the town manager.
Yep.
If we get as much information to us as possible, even if it trickles in as you get it, stay on the people that put these forward so we have the information as quickly as possible to be able to make our own decision as our board. So, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I agree, and I think, people look to us sometimes for leadership too, and they want to know where we stand on certain issues, and I think the more we can discuss, the better. It's my understanding we're going to have a joint meeting with the planning board in a couple of weeks, and some of these may even involve conversation with them, so it might be a good time to have a conversation, just a general conversation about some of these, the impact of some of these articles that will have an impact on what they do too. So it might be a good time to hash it out between the two boards, even if it gets there before the finance committee sees it.
I actually think that's a great idea. If we could, on that joint meeting, add, the verbiage for warrant articles.
Right, I see number 21. Are there any other ones that jump out as would be beneficial before planning board also?
Well, I'm looking at it, and I'm pretty much everything after 15. 16. Everything that we're looking at as far as expansion, not anything to do with cleanup, top of house, sewer ties in, the malt license, no. reconstruction of 140, 123. I mean, DPW directors, sidewalk maintenance, I think all that kind of falls into their category too. Just to kick things around and talk about it, I think it's probably more than appropriate.
We could at least bring it up to them, and if anybody has any questions or comments while we're in a joint meeting with them. Sure.
Right, we could put the whole scorecard on the agenda, and you can take up whichever ones you like.
And Mr. Chair, where I'm coming from is we typically only meet once every 2 weeks, right? And during budget season planning for the town meeting, the FinCom can meet two times a week at times. So out of consideration for the town manager as well, and preparing these articles with dollar amounts for many of these, I'm just trying to be considerate of him. He may not have the information for us on our bi-monthly calls, but he'll have it all ready when the FinCom sets up their meetings twice a week for 3 weeks. I'm just thinking scheduling really is where I'm coming from with that. I would prefer to have all of them voted on by us, like, as soon as possible. I'm with you on that. I'm just thinking practically, is that something the town manager can support, right? With the FinCom.
I mean, I won't have firm numbers in 2 weeks, but I can have the best numbers that I can.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think we're looking for firm numbers, because in my past experience with town meetings is a lot of times a week or two before the town meeting, we're still talking about dollar amounts. So I don't think that's going to be part of the factor. I think it's just looking at the general idea of what it's going to cost, knowing fairly well that it could go up or down, most of the time up. But just to kind of give some direction on how we think about it, because when you start looking at things like capital improvements, maybe we have a different opinion than what the capital improvement committee has, the finance committee has. Maybe we may be more conservative, or we may want to add something to it. So it's just general conversation. We're not going to make the final decision. Whatever the finance committee brings to town meeting is pretty much where we're going to go. For the most part, it's the way it has been in the past. We're just giving general thoughts and overview, maybe even before the finance committee addresses the issue. That's all.
I definitely agree. Anything that we can get a recommendation. That's, we don't need more backup, or it's not necessarily more in FinCom's, purview. I just rather do it sooner than later. We've had to call meetings, last minute to vote on some of these in the past years, because we've, waited and waited and waited, and I just don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, some of these I'd want to see firm numbers on before I voted on them, right? Because they could impact
Oh, there'll be some.
significantly,
Sure.
right? Yeah.
No, I don't disagree. Yep.
And by the way, in addition to that, this is our town meeting. We may look at one of these and say, no, I don't want to put that on the warrant. We can do that ahead of time. So this isn't etched in stone either. Like the town
this is
manager
fluid.
said,
It's
maybe
fluid.
some things will pull or whatever,
Okay.
One last question. Do we need a budget article? I read that the school committee and school unions are hopefully going to settle on their contract, which expired in July. Is there an article required to budget the past difference between the new contract and to date through this fiscal year? There's got to be some money transferred to.
If that's confirmed by both the union and the school committee, then that retro would be paid out of this year's budget. School is significantly under budget for this year due to the
Gotcha.
contract.
And you don't need an article to do that. It just comes right out of the budget.
No, it's already budgeted for this fiscal year.
Gotcha.
And then next year's, it would be part of the budget. That'd be number 8, the operating budget.
Sure. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, we'll get to it and come back with more information.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Okay. You're up again. Town manager's report. Appointment of Christy Enegren as select board liaison, licensing coordinator, an executive assistant.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to announce Christy Anagrin as the new Executive Assistant, Select Board Liaison, Licensing Coordinator, and fill in the blank and everything else. Christy has been quite an asset to the Town Manager's office in her short temporary time here and has proved her worth in spades, and we're happy to continue doing great things. She's already revamped the process, the procedure for the permitting and keeping meticulous records, and we couldn't be more pleased.
Terrific. Welcome, Christy. Thank you very
Christy.
much.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
You've been doing a great job so far. Perfect.
I'm moving on to an update on Nelia Morrison. So we looked into this, the requirements, and there's actually one of the codes, our bylaw 66-4 requires 2 nominees from the AIA, and we've reached out to Chair Peg Dooley, and we're coordinating 2 nominees, and then we'll be able to move forward with a recommendation for the select board on that.
Great.
Moving on.
Can I just ask a question on that? I hope we can figure out a way to get Nelia confirmed, but I'm just reading her email here, and she belongs to the Rhode Island local AIA chapter. Hopefully that's not a problem. I really hope it's not. But if it doesn't matter, then we probably want to have 2 nominations from the Rhode Island AIA chapter, so we're not crossing over between states. Just to be
It does have to be the local AIA chapter covering Norton.
which is Rhode Island according to her letter.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know what I'm saying, Mark? Does that mean we should have 2 nominees from the Rhode Island chapter to make sure that she can be one that we pick? You know what I'm saying?
As long as that's the chapter that covers us, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, I think we get 2 nominations and we pick 1 out of the 2. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's right.
Peg Dooley, Historic District Commission, and Nancy is my co-chair. We're co-chairs. We made it a point of printing out an email that Nelia had sent us in the past couple of days, as well as an article that was, I think, in an industry booklet indicating her qualifications, etc. She, in fact, does belong to AIA in Massachusetts, and she belongs to, what is it, a social group, whatever, off of it in Rhode Island, because she switched jobs and is now working in Rhode Island. But the fact is, she does belong to Massachusetts AIA. You know what we want to do, and we're hoping we'll be successful. Nelia has worked with us as a consultant since sometime in the fall regarding, in particular, the bank property 10 West Main Street that's being developed. Nancy made it a point of going to the architectural firm that designed this building as well as the senior center to see if there would be someone who's one of their architects, obviously, who would deal with us pro bono, so to speak, because we certainly have no money, and consult with us having to do with, in particular, the bank as well as a few other things. She spent a considerable amount of time with us in person as well as on the phone, and she was at our meetings, and Bob and you were there too as well,
Was.
Kevin.
Yeah.
And she gave us a great deal of pointers and forward interest. We would like to ask for an exception for 2 people. I personally find that it's very embarrassing to have been working with Nelia for so long. And by the way, we thought she was appointed last fall, and apparently that didn't happen. It fell through the holes. We have always operated very informally, as you may know, and we have not gotten involved with submitting 2 persons' names for the prior preservationist and restorationist that we worked with. But that being said, it's very strange and very awkward to have 2 people's names be submitted and only one of them being chosen by your board, I mean, where are we going to get that second person from? A stranger who might live in Norton, or a stranger from, I mean, it's a game we would be playing if we asked Nelia to submit a name of somebody and have you people entertain it, but that second person has no influence, has no knowledge of what's going on here. And that's why we'd like an exception to be made, because it's kind of strange to have that second person come in here. And the same actually would be the case with a realtor.
Yeah, Mr.
It's
Chair,
like-
if
it's
if I
like,
could, I'm sorry, go
slapping
ahead.
somebody in the face to not have that second person be accommodated.
Mr. Chair, through you. I agree, Peg, completely, and
Kevin, I can't hear you.
yeah, I agree completely. We don't want to lose her. She's established a good working relationship, and she's knowledgeable. I just want to make sure that we abide by the code, and I don't know if we can deviate from the way it's written. I don't even know where this code came from. I don't know if,
Would it be necessary for us to reach out to town council? Because two people at the town council were dealing with this also, having to do with 10 West Main Street, in person and on phone and on Zoom meetings.
Through you, Chair.
Yep.
I mean, since this is a bylaw requirement, I don't see why we can't comply with it. I mean, you can bring two candidates forward. You can still suggest Nelia as your preferred candidate, but I'm not sure why there's so much hesitation to just bring two candidates forward. I would prefer to have choices to make rather than just be fed one and said, this is what we want, right? My preference is always to have a choice to choose from.
But what are your measurements for that choice?
Qualifications?
To know the other person. Definitely that person would have qualifications.
Right.
I think it's kind of ignorant on my part to do that. And I think that's what's wrong with this black and
Chairman.
white.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've been exposed to Terry, and as far as her expertise and her cooperation, unpaid cooperation she's given so far has been tremendous to your board and committee. My problem with having to wait for a second appointment on this is the fact that we don't get anybody else to step up. We've got so many vacancies in town. People who can serve, that don't serve. If someone does come forward, we don't normally have two candidates. We usually have one person that steps forward and says, hey, I want to serve on whatever. And we gladly, appoint that person because we just don't have all the people we need to run all these committees and boards we have. So this one here is unique, and I can't say I've ever dealt with this. I believe your last appointee was there for quite a few years, and I don't know that, how this process works, but we have a valid candidate that wants to do the job for us for nothing, that has a lot of experience. She's a graduate of Yale University. She's got a lot of background that seems very appropriate to me. And the last thing I want to do is turn her off. And that's what I'm worried about. Because if you were doing this to me and say, well, we need a second candidate, I say, well, tell you what, I'm not interested anymore. I think we're making it way too difficult to make an appointment here. And I don't understand why. I understand there's a bylaw, and first time I've ever seen it, but I don't know that I agree with it in this case.
Through you, Chair. I think we're making a lot of assumptions that she's so hot to be a volunteer on this committee that she'd be turned off if we entertained a second candidate. And we haven't even tried to look for another candidate. So before we start thinking like it's impossible to get another candidate, we should at least attempt and make it to try to get another candidate. I'm sure there's a listing on A1A that we could find other people that we could select from.
How would you approach that person?
We need someone to be a Historical District Commission volunteer for the town of Norton. Would you be interested in participating in our meetings? It's not that difficult. I'm happy to do that if you'd like.
And that person would give some thought to this and then be turned down.
Okay. That happens.
It's a waste of time and energy and emotion.
That could happen with any position that gets appointed.
I don't follow you.
if you have more than one candidate for any position that is appointed, that could happen to at any time. You're choosing the best candidate out of the options. And our bylaw seems pretty clear to me that we should be choosing from two potential appointees. So I'm not sure why we're so resistant to this. It shouldn't be that difficult of a lift.
Do you think that second
It
candidate?
doesn't mean that Neely won't be the one that's selected. She very well may be, but why not entertain a second possible appointee?
But in fact, do you think that second candidate, if we came up with somebody, which I'm sure we could, which I think is absurd, that person wouldn't get the appointment?
Okay. It's
Then why bother?
It's
to
a
begin with?
volunteer gig. I don't think anyone is sitting on the edge of their seat upset about not getting appointed to a free volunteer gig. It's just approaching two different possible people that might want to volunteer for this appointment to see if they're interested.
Mr. Chair, if I may, the big question is, this is in our bylaws. It's a code we have to comply with, right? So can we even grant an exception? Is that in our power? And if it isn't, then we just need to go down the path that we need to follow it, basically, right?
So when we looked at this, we were looking for documentation. We couldn't find anything. I believe when you say you submitted something, I don't have any record of what was submitted in the fall.
Just her
So
letter.
I did look into this, and I can't speak to what laws were followed before I came here, but we're revamping boards and committees. There's minutes, years of minutes. There's 20-something, 30-something, 40-something minutes, meetings where minutes were never taken, recorded. We're professionalizing, modernizing. We're bringing the committees and boards into the way that the law's written, and there's not wiggle room. It says one member from two nominees submitted by the chapter of the AIA covering Norton shall be appointed by the Board of Selectmen. I don't believe there's wiggle room.
If I may just add on to that. So Peg, I just wanted to clarify her. Nelia's letter pointed out that she's registered in Massachusetts, but the chapter that she belongs to is Rhode Island chapter, because it's a Rhode Island chapter that covers Norton. So let's just jump ahead and assume that we legally have to abide by our bylaw. We have to follow this code. Then my point that I was trying to make earlier is we need to make sure we have two nominees from the Rhode Island chapter. You follow me? Because we can't have two from Massachusetts because we're going to exclude Nelia right off the bat. If we have one from Rhode Island and one from Massachusetts, that doesn't comply with the bylaw. So that's why I wanted to point out that we need to have two from the Rhode Island chapter. Hopefully Nelia will be one. We'll go through it and, go from there. But I don't think we can grant an exception, Peg, even though, it might be desirable. We're not lawyers. It's our bylaws, so I don't think we can.
But Kevin, she is registered in Massachusetts, not Rhode Island.
Correct.
It's a social networking that she's involved with a Rhode Island chapter. She would also be probably in a Maine chapter as a social networking and belonging in Massachusetts to AIA.
Well, you can only, usually how it works with professional organizations, you're a member with the chapter that covers your geography, so you can't belong to multiple. She can be registered in multiple states, that's a different thing, but as far as belonging to the AIA, you have to belong to one chapter from what I understand, like any other organization. And she clearly says that in her email, that she belongs to the Rhode Island chapter of AIA.
I still think we need a letter from AIA.
Peg, can I ask you a question? When was the last time you had a representative serving in this capacity as a member of the AIA?
Up until Peter Parabolas, up until perhaps 3 years ago.
3 years ago, okay.
And he chose not to continue, and he submitted a resignation.
Peter had moved from town, right? He was serving,
It was way back when.
yeah, he
And
was,
then was in Canada and in Europe, etc.
okay.
And there might be a reason that none of us know about on why the American Institute of Architects wants to submit the nominees. We don't know why that's in the bylaw. I'm sure we didn't just make it up in the town of Norton. It's probably, they want to keep track of their members and know what they're doing, and their volunteer hours maybe are, accredited. Who knows? There's got to be a reason behind why that's in our bylaws, and it's probably the same for every city and town in Massachusetts.
Maybe the fact that the person is reputable and they have.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Because some of the historic district requirements come up, are born out of like state and federal holdups as well. So it could be something that's,
Sure. That they want to oversee.
right.
Yeah.
Nancy?
It's unfortunate we're in this position, because I've listened to her in your meetings. I've been to them with Bob. She's a very good asset to your board.
Certainly is.
Yeah.
And you're right, she probably has enough integrity to certainly not be turned off by indicating what it suggested that we do. I already mentioned, is it possible that town council could help us and be more in our favor in terms of not going over your heads, but you would like to go by the letter of the law, which I don't blame you, because you're revamping, et cetera. But life is so short.
Well, with that being said, I think, in just talking with the town manager on the side, I think there's a solution to meet those legal requirements, just in case there is no, recourse from an applicant that may be denied. If this person doesn't meet those AIA requirements, as I guess Mr. Town Manager says that they need to meet to be able to be on a board, and a development is turned down, then the town could be potentially liable to come after it. Is that, you can elaborate more, Mr. Town Manager.
Right. So there's a way to make this work, and that's to get the letter from the AIA recommending the candidates. And I mean, in the absence of that, if there's extenuating circumstances, we've done all we can, then there might be an exception, but we can't just vote contrary to the town meeting that made this law. And someone might bring suit against the Historic District Commission saying, we don't agree with your decision because one of your members wasn't lawfully appointed. I know you say you do things on informal, but there's a lot of people that like to litigate things in 2026. So they might use this as a reason to go against your decision, and the judge might unfortunately come down against the town. So it just protects us.
I think an amenable solution may be if, two things. If we do advertise it, get it out there, advertise that we're looking for another member. Take applications in 30-day time period, or, just throwing that number out there. Get 30 days in. In the meantime, request the information from AIA, whether they can serve or not, this applicant here. Get that in the meantime. If they say, yes, she can, then perfect. 30 days from now, no one else puts in a request for appointment, then we will consider it at the next selectman meeting. And then the town's covered legally from that standpoint. And it also checks the box of somebody, having it out there advertised in case there's someone else that does have interest that wants to be on that seat. If no one comes to the table, then they had their 30 days to ask, to be appointed. And in the meantime, get the letter from A1A. AIA.
Nancy Federici from 42 Mansfield Ave. I read the bylaw a little differently, and it was my understanding that the AIA would send in, based on what our requirements would be, some viable candidates, because this is such a specific position, if you will, because we need a historic New England restoration person, someone that can not only help with buildings and make them more for reuse, but also someone that understands the old buildings and what we need to do in order to salvage them, if you will. Or if we're building new buildings like we've had with 10 West Main, how can that person help to develop the building with the aspect of what the Historic District Commission is, or Historic District is all about? So I was reading it differently, is that if, say, we contacted AIA and said, this is a situation, we would like recommendations of two of your members, and we're in Norton. And I read it as, I didn't really know if the architect had to work in Norton, because they haven't before. Peter Paravolis was in Toronto, and he was approved to be, working not locally. And we were able to make Zooms work, conference calls, things like that. But he also had been a resident here, so he really knew what was going on with everything. So I guess I'm curious about what the real process is with getting something from AIA, and maybe we could inquire and get those questions answered if they looked at our bylaw and they said, well, no, this is what you need to do, and this is what we do in every town, or, oh, we've never seen this before. I mean, I don't know. It's just that she's like the best of the best that we could have ever imagined for her.
And Mr. Chair, I tend to agree with Nancy, because we can't just go out and post it, and that's kind of circumventing the bylaw. We have to follow the process. And I want to back up a minute, because we're not sure that, so she belongs to the Rhode Island chapter of AIA because she used to work in Rhode Island for DBVW. And she just kept her membership there, even though she lives in Norwood, Massachusetts now. We're not certain, we're making the assumption, and it probably isn't true, that Norton belongs to the Rhode Island chapter. I said that, but I don't think that's right. First of all, we need to find out what chapter Norton belongs to, and then we need to reach out to that chapter, and then, as Nancy mentioned, tell them what we're trying to do, fill a position on our Historic District Commission, and we need an architect who's got skills in historic preservation, and for them to provide two nominees. You just need to follow the bylaw. Yeah.
If I may, I think we're kicking a dead horse. The suggestion is that we submit the names, the Historic District Commission submit the names of two people. It doesn't indicate at all to go to AIA. In fact, I did call AIA, and I talked to the executive director of Massachusetts. He didn't know what I was talking about. And it's us that's supposed to, it's simple. We are supposed to submit two names.
Well,
I
what the
felt
law
it was
says,
appropriate for us to have
nominees
to do that.
submitted by the chapter of the AIA. That's what it says.
I'm sorry, would you say that again?
It says two nominees submitted by the chapter of the American Institute of Architects covering Norton. So it doesn't say the person has to live in Norton, be from Norton. It just says the AIA has to be over Norton, which I believe is AIA Massachusetts.
It has-
And then we can call them, we could advertise, we can say, if anyone's interested, contact AIA for a recommendation. They give us two names, and if for some reason they don't, we've done the best we could to comply with it.
Can't we just go, well, I wasn't aware of that. That wasn't what I had read, what you had just read.
That's what it says.
Oh, I believe you. I don't think we have to go through this 30-day business. We have to apparently simply get two names from AIA who cover Massachusetts, correct?
Norton.
Period.
The AIA covering
I
Norton.
just threw the days out for a.
That was a terrible thing to do.
We're just trying to help.
I'm trying to facilitate this.
You're making it worse.
Thanks.
We'll
to help
do the best we can, and I'll call them tomorrow as well.
I'm sorry?
I'll reach out to the AIA tomorrow as well, if that's helpful. I don't want to step on your toes. If you'd like to reach out, that's completely your jurisdiction.
And again, he's new on the job, this particular fellow, the executive director. And that's why, in particular, he didn't know what I was talking about. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
We went over
Thank
whatever
you.
time is ever allocated. It goes well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just, if anyone wants to volunteer in this town, I get the impression that we've got a whole new set of guidelines. If that's going to be the case, then we need to be consistent. Now, I can tell you that I serve on one committee in this town as a volunteer, that I'm probably not qualified for, based on our bylaws. So if we're going to start nitpicking like this, then we need to go back and look at our other committees and boards and make sure we have the proper representation on those boards. Because I believe I was appointed to a position that I am not qualified to do. Even though I participate in every meeting, I'm not qualified. So we need to go back and take another look at it, because if we're going to start splitting hairs like this, then let's be consistent.
You're right. You're right. We should take another look at them.
I will say, as far as the permanent building committee, though, it does, our bylaw does end whenever possible. One architect, one engineer, whenever possible. If you don't have the volunteers step forward that live in the town of Norton, it's not possible, right? That's why I mentioned a few meetings back, that if anybody stepped forward who is an attorney who wanted to be on the permanent building committee, I would step away and let them do it, because they're better qualified than I, and they fill a slot, right? So this is a little different, though, and unique, because this involves an outside agency outside the town of Norton. It's clear on the bylaw. It doesn't say whenever possible, so.
Okay.
There you go.
If, as Kevin suggests, she actually is in Rhode Island, and Rhode Island office doesn't cover Norton, does that mean
That means
she would be refused?
It says it must be submitted by the chapter of the AIA covering Norton. So that chapter could recommend someone that doesn't live in Norton. They could, they,
Work in an AIA office that covers Norton.
the way I read this, she could be covered as long as she's recommended by AIA. She could be,
Massachusetts or Rhode Island?
it doesn't say where the person lives or works. It doesn't matter. As long as they're recommended by the AIA covering Norton,
Which would be, we assume,
which is,
Massachusetts.
I'm pretty sure it's AIA Massachusetts.
right. Thank you. Again.
Next update?
Yes, GATRA Blue Bus. I spoke directly with Director of GATRA and expressed concerns about Blue Bus, and was informed that the Blue Bus is operating, has been continued to be operating. There was a little question about funding. She told me that she receives this question very often, that there's a cash flow timing issue with a federal grant, and that the money is on the way. I understand not everybody has all the information, and there are some rumors out there, and that's the information I received directly from GATRA. Due to continuing concern, I'll continue to reach out to our elected state representatives and make sure that this Blue Bus will continue to be operating.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And, yeah, well, still your report.
And last but not least, the budget, we're still in preliminary review. Frankly, it doesn't look good. We're not the only town in this condition. The swirling winds of health insurance, which we're looking at very closely, are coming close to home. There's budget drivers, fixed costs, recent collective bargaining negotiations. There's just a lot of budget pressure, including some reliance on one-time funds for recurring expenses, which is, it's not sustainable. So we need to buckle down and make sure our expenses are matching revenues, that we have a sustainable budget for the future, and that's what I'm spending a lot of my time to these days. Happy to answer any questions, or I plan on presenting a formal report to the Finance Committee on Monday, and the charter says the budget needs to come out by April 6th, and so it has to be balanced by then. We're $1 million or $2 million off, but we have a month or two.
Well, you haven't pulled your hair out yet, so that's a good sign.
All right, Mr. Town Manager. Well, thank you very much for that. Just
Mr. Town Manager, I noticed you skipped over number 1 here about the blizzard response.
Thank you. How
that's in the rearview mirror. We need to move forward.
I just want to make sure that the people who have been working so hard get the credit they deserve.
so proud of Justin Chicka, our DPW director, all the hardworking men and women of Public Works, Public Safety, Police, Fire, Emergency Management. They all came out. They stayed for the whole storm. They didn't stop. They just kept going, and there weren't places open for food. There was trees in the way. They had to stop plowing, get the chainsaw out, get black plowing. They couldn't see visibility. It was unprecedented. So just sincere kudos to all those people.
So with that, to piggyback on that, I'd like to mention, as a point of note, because I've heard that, there are some people that weren't happy with the storm response. My own crews for my own company are all over southeastern Mass before, during, and after these storms, and we were amazed at the level of treatment in other surrounding communities. Like I said, I'm all the way down South Coast, all the way, Plainville South out to Plymouth, and everywhere in between. Those communities, including the state highways, were in the worst shape that I've ever seen. Granted, with that kind of storm, 40 plus years that I've been doing it myself, that was the worst one that I've ever encountered, and I saw it with my own two eyes. The 495 looked like a war zone. It was closed, but yeah, I've been doing it a long time, so me and my crew were able to negotiate where we needed to. But my point being is, Norton stood out. Unbelievable how it was handled by the guys in DPW, guys and gals, everybody. It was unbelievable, the difference here compared to every single one of those other communities. And there's still communities with roads not plowed right now. It's just unbelievable, the level of service that this DPW gives to the residents. And I just want to make them aware of that, because I'm not able to stay in during storms, and but seeing it with my own two eyes, the difference, it's second to none. Not even close. Any of those communities. So, and as well, I'd like to give consideration and praise to Christy. She wasn't here Monday and Tuesday, I believe, correct? And you did as good of a job as we could have asked for, getting all the documents together for tonight's meeting by being remote. And I want to thank you for that, because it might not have happened, but if someone else was doing it. So thank you very much for everybody in town that pulled their weight during the storm. So I couldn't be more proud of the town of Norton. So
Yeah, great job.
Chairman, also, we should recognize that the management staff did a very good job of keeping us informed. Town manager, his department heads, we were getting constant updates, letting us know what's going on. So if others asked us the question, at least we knew we could have a conversation and know exactly what was going on. So I really appreciate the time and effort that was put into that. Everything will go back to normal eventually. It's just going to take some time. And when I finally got off Facebook after a couple of days, I couldn't take it any longer, because, I don't run this equipment. I don't know how it works, but I do know that stuff breaks down. We have issues with it. We don't have a modern fleet of trucks out there on the street. Most of our trucks have Band-Aids and wired together and everything else, but with what they had, the DPW, in my opinion, and that includes water department, trucks that were out there. They had water, they had school, everybody was out there doing this. It wasn't just Department of Public Works, it was everybody working together, and I think they did a hell of a job. So thank you for that.
Yep, they knocked it out of the park. Not even close. So. All right. Warrants.
Chair, I make a motion we approve invoice warrant 26-33 dated February 12th, 2026.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chairman, I'll make a motion we approve invoice warrant 26-34 dated February 19th, 2026.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Chairman, I'll make a motion we accept payroll warrant, approve payroll warrant 26-17 for the week ending January 14th, 2026.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Select Board report and mail. Don't have any that I am aware of.
Through your chair, sorry.
Yes.
I just had a Serpide meeting last night, and so I just wanted to report out one of the items that was discussed last night in the Serpide meeting. I don't know if you remember, but a few months ago I had brought forward that there was some conversation about a new solar photovoltaic and battery energy storage system bylaws that were being proposed by the state, and this would allow essentially, the crux of it was some of the larger solar panel companies could go straight to the state to get licensed to do it without coming through the town. There was an opportunity for us to, at that point, to give feedback to Serpide because they had drafted a letter. Their letter was very well drafted. I didn't see any need to necessarily create anything new, but I had brought it forward at that point to see if you guys wanted to. That new bylaw is set to, I think, post in the next month or so. And I think that everyone's supposed to be compliant by December of this year. So definitely the sentiment from all of Serpide members was that is not enough time for us to put bylaws in place to protect ourselves in any way that we can by that time period. So they were asking at the meeting was a representative, what was his name? Mark Sylvia, who's a Cushnet area representative, who was there. And so there was a conversation with him to find out if there's any way to extend that timeline from December of this year into some later date. He's going to go back and find out if there was, but he wasn't aware of any extensions to that timeline. So I just wanted to make sure that town manager, that you were aware of that bylaw, or perhaps Paul, hopefully Paul is as well. And then one of the other solutions, there were two towns at least that had taken the position that they had chosen to go the route of creating a bylaw that was a temporary moratorium on solar to try to, I guess, combat this particular bylaw. That is something we can consider. I'm not sure. We have to talk to town council about how to draft that and if that was effective or not. But that's just something I want to report out to you guys, that new bylaw is coming, and we're going to have to be compliant with it. And I think there are some things that we can put into our bylaws that can give us a little bit additional protection, but there are some ability for these larger solar companies to go directly to the state for licensing. Does it sound familiar? I don't know if you had heard about it or not yet.
Yes. I know that we recently had a solar bylaw proposal, but that didn't pass.
Yeah.
But if it's a state law, then we need to follow it. So
Yeah.
Are you saying this one is almost passed?
I can send you it's supposed to, they're suggesting that's going to be passed next month.
Okay.
I'll send you my notes. I didn't have a chance to since last night, but I'll send you my notes after this meeting so you have the details that I jotted down.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise.
No problem.
All right, we don't have executive. How about next meeting dates? Just real quick, we have the 12th and the 26th of April so far. Is that correct?
I had the 12th, and then 3 weeks later would be April 2nd, if that works. We're just looking to schedule the poll hearing for, what was that, April 2nd?
Oh, wait a minute. Not April. March.
So March 12th would be a joint meeting with the planning board.
That's right.
Then April 2nd would be scheduled poll hearings.
Okay. Okay?
Coming fast.
Yeah,
Yep.
real fast. Okay. Perfect. All right. No executive. I'll take the next motion.
Chair?
Yes, sir.
Make a motion to adjourn?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.